just making music over there. If you just get everyone's attention. No, we want him to be introduced by someone that can help at the same
Yeah, if you need credits or like
so
you
you
can start
say
from your art. I don't know. Good idea.
It's okay.
Did it really? Whoa. Okay.
இல்லை நான் பேக்கெட் ஆனதே
அப்படியா
வணக்கம் வணக்கம்
வணக்கம் வணக்கம்
இப்போதான் இங்கிலீஷ் சொல்லி இப்போதான் வந்தேன் ஹாய் சொல்லிட்டேன் நான் டென்னுக்கு வந்துட்டேன்
You're lucky with this huge social to help. This is just one. There's quite a few of them that are always in there. So you don't have to feel like, there's a lot of fear in newcomers here. Like what? What does she have to do by getting to like here? She has to come down. Him and Mani, they're very charismatic.
கொஞ்சத்தை விட்டுட்டு போவோம் விருந்தாலும் விட்டாலும் பரவாயில்ல கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டமாக இருக்கும்
Great morning as I see a lot of young people here for this Career Expo event. It has been organized by SACEM-Society for the Aid of Community Empowerment. That's our goal, to empower people to find their goal in life, not only in career-wise, with health. We have done many programs like that, and today is Career Expo. So welcome each and every one. And a special welcome to all the very special guests who are here to give advice. So as we welcome each and every one of you, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to the President of SACEM. This event is possible only with the team effort, the President and the team. I guess the President will introduce the team to you. And ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Quintus Throisinger.
Thank you so much, Jude. Good morning, everyone.
it's my pleasure to be here as part of a wonderful team. SACEM has been a pioneer organization that has been contributing very effectively to the community. When I say pioneer organization, I really mean it. Other organizations use the word, and we all use the word pioneer, but when it comes to SACEM, it was created in 1983. So you can think about the years of service from SACEM. Why it was created and why we say it's pioneer organization, because in the 80s when there were troubles, atrocities committed in Sri Lanka, Tamils had to flee the country, and in big numbers they entered into a few countries that opened the doors. And one of the wonderful countries was Canada. So we are very thankful to Canada in that perspective. But in that time when Tamils came in big numbers, they needed a lot of help because they didn't know where to go, what to find, how to find help, whether it's immigration, education, putting their children to school, or even housing. When a few senior members like Augustine Jayanan and others thought that we need an organization that can help support the need of our people. That's when they put together a team and created SACEM, the Society for the Aid of Community Empowerment. So they extend their help in a number of areas, including housing, immigration, schooling, when I say schooling, education, and also wherever they need the help. So a lot of information that was missing for them, and they helped them. And in that process, they also established, with the help of the government, with both 3 levels of government, they established a building just for the Tamil immigrants who were coming into this country. And it was at Lansdowne and Wellesley, where we built a building, and the new Tamils who entered into this country would stay there for 3 months, free of charge. That was a government program that SACEM introduced, and a lot of Tamils benefited from this project. And at the time, right away, they couldn't find a base, not even a basement, because they needed referral, they needed the first and last, they needed some people to support them. So it was a hell of a difficult time for the new immigrants who were coming here without any means of support. So SACEM was instrumental right from there, and all the way until now, we have been supporting the community. Along the way, they felt the need that on the entrepreneur side, our people needed help, where SACEM put together a small subcommittee. They discussed the entrepreneurship of Tamils, and that's where the newborn Chamber of Commerce showed up. So the SACEM's another baby project was the Chamber of Commerce. At the moment, the CTCC, the Canadian Tamil Chamber of Commerce, is doing a fantastic job. And we are very proud as SACEM members that Chamber of Commerce is doing extremely well. Along the line, we have been doing many projects. And at the moment, let's talk about this particular project where we thought there is a need to empower our community, as we always do. SACEM thought that this would be a big project where we can empower the youth with different needs in the career sector. That's when we were trying to go around the sponsors, and we are very thankful that there are 2 wonderful sponsors who supported our project this time. One of them is the NACPT, which is the NACPT Pharma College. We have a booth right behind there, and Sam is sitting there. He's one of the founding directors there. And the other one is the Radhi. They are both doing an exceptional job there. So let me introduce them to you. NACPT Pharma College is a leading and award-winning career college in Canada, which has 2 campuses in the heart of the cities, Scarborough and Brampton. For over 15 years, NACPT Pharma College has offered specialized postgraduate and post-secondary diploma programs for both Canadian and international students, corporate training, and hands-on training in various industries. As a career college, NACPT Pharma College provides in-depth skill training in healthcare, pharmaceutical, medical, cannabis, IT, business, finance,
travel, tourism, technology, and related fields to maximize the job and business opportunities for mature students. Of course, they are new immigrants, professionals who come here. If they are laid off, a lot of helping hand is there. So please remember Pharma College. If you have contacts, please let them know that Pharma College is doing an exceptional job in 2 different campuses, one at the West End, one here in Scarborough, and make use of them. Thank you, Sam, the Pharma College, for supporting us. Thank you. So if you need more information, they have a booth and you can grab the rest of the information, or you can have a chat with him. The next one is the Rouge Valley Education Center. So talking about the Career Expo, most appropriate 2 entities are supporting us. One is the college, the other one is the education center. Rouge Valley Education Center is a school dedicated to the education and empowerment of students in the Greater Toronto area. They are committed to fostering an interactive, collaborative learning environment that prepares its students for success in the workplace. So once again, a big round of applause for Rouge Valley Education Center as well. Thank you. Their representatives will be here soon. SACEM. So SACEM's mission is to provide services to empower the community so that we enable the community to shine as a vibrant group within the fabric of Canadian society while preserving our cultural heritages. And SACEM's vision is that the community we serve excels and contributes to the growth and development of Canadian society. So for a moment, if SACEM board members, if you can all stand up. We also have Thiru and everyone else. If you could please stand up and wave your hands. These are all board members. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And project coordinator is, project VP is Kasturi. She has done a fantastic job. And together with Kasturi, Anita, Jude, Mr. Rahmadullah, and of course, I'm missing one other person. I'm looking around. Sanchayan and Varuni, say on too. So almost everyone. So they have all done a fantastic job, particularly about this project when I'm talking. These people done a tremendous job, many days of work behind the scene. So very well organized, very well arranged. Thank you so much. All right, at the moment we are going to continue with the workshop that we are here for. How it's going to work is that we have different tables, resume writing, facing the interviews, and how we can even challenge the interviewers. John is a specialist in this field, and he's going to take over a big group of people here sitting there. Excellent. I'm going to momentarily introduce John formally, and we also have Rohan Thiru sitting there. Rohan Thiru, no, should be, yes, Rohan Thiru is here, yes. And then Karthik Bala is here. Thank you, Karthik. And Uma Jairam is also here. She's there. And Kasturi Thiru, she's also sitting there. So they will be taking care of different aspects in this workshop. Wherever you feel like going and discussing, please feel free. Eventually, John will also be here for an hour for an individual coaching, so one-on-one. Or when he's helping with one person, if others want to listen in and benefit from it, you're most welcome to do so as well. So even on the tables, when, for example, Rohan Thiru is explaining things, if you want to listen in, you're most welcome to do so. If you have questions, you can talk to them, or eventually after at the end of the seminar, we have some networking time where you can also talk to them personally. We have a very successful stories here. I will share one of them. One individual is here who benefited from the previous seminar run by SACEM. After that seminar, he got a fantastic job at Digital Loblaws. Where else? So that's a fantastic story. It will come up. I will bring him here momentarily. All right, it is my duty to introduce the panelists or the speakers formally. And this is my pleasure to introduce John Ribeiro. So, John is a performance coach, speaker, and a senior consultant. As a seasoned leader, he specializes in communications, team building, personal development, strategy, and authentic leadership coaching. He helps small to large-sized organizations develop and grow their emerging leaders, guiding them to lead from within. He brings over 20 years of corporate and entrepreneurial experience to help people navigate challenges. He is also the co-author of 2 books, Zero to Hired, Successful Breakthrough, Your Interview Process, and Canadian Job Search Guide for Professionals. So let me repeat it. One book is Zero to Hired, Successful Breakthrough, Your Interview Process. And the second one is the Canadian Job Search Guide for Professionals. Did I say it right? Yes, okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Ribeiro. Yeah. Okay. Let me introduce to you Rohan Thiru. Rohan is a vice president and portfolio manager at one of the leading investment and management companies, Canoe Financial. He has more than 20 years of investment industry experience. Rohan holds a Bachelor of Mathematics and a Master in Accounting from the University of Waterloo. He is a CFA charter holder. Rohan is also a board member, leading the finance and responsible investments portfolio at Comdu.it, Diaspora Hub, a Canadian non-profit network that works on building long-term capacity sustainable development within vulnerable Tamil communities and other marginalized groups in Sri Lanka. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rohan Thiru. I shouldn't fail in my duty to recognize Mr. Thiru, who is his dad, who has been a great long-term member of SACEM and a pillar of SACEM. Thiru, thank you so much. Yeah. And the next one is Karthik Bala. Karthik is a co-founder of Snap Smile based in Scarborough, Ontario. He graduated from Ryerson University's Business Tech Management program in 2019. Before starting Snap Smile, he has worked at multiple startups as a product manager. Snap Smile was founded in 2020 by Mayuran, Navini, and Karthik. Snap Smile now helps over 20 dental clinics across the GTA automate tasks to help clinic staff save over 4 hours a day. Snap Smile also helps patients monitor and manage their oral health using an all-powered assessment tool which can be accessed through our mobile or their mobile app. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Karthik Bala. And the next one is Uma Jairam. Uma is a passionate cloud and data transformation executive with experience heading several large-scale technology transformations for major banks. She possesses proven skills leading diverse global technology teams to champion delivery of value-based technology solutions. She's keen on building and growing diverse talent, loves mentoring and coaching, and has been mentoring new immigrants for many years at the Toronto Region Immigrant Employment Council, which is the TRIEC. Uma takes pride in giving back to the community and is honored and proud to be a board member of the 360 Kids charity organization in the York region. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Uma. And last not the least, she's also a proud SACEM Vice President for Projects, Kasturi Thiru. Kasturi Thiru is an IT professional with extensive experience in the finance and technology industry. She began her career studying computer science at a community college in the United States before moving to Canada, where she worked as a volunteer computer instructor. From there, she landed a one-year contract as a software developer at Sony of Canada before joining TD Bank, where she worked her way up to becoming an AVP managing the online banking platform, which means the assistant VP. Today, Kasturi is a managing director at BMO, overseeing critical software development projects and driving innovation within the company. In her personal life, Kasturi is a proud mother of 2 girls and a dedicated volunteer in her community. She serves on the board of a couple of charitable community organizations, including SACEM, and is passionate about mentoring others in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Kasturi Thiru as well. Okay. I should add that in about an hour, hour and a half, Roy Ratnaville will be here as a special guest or guest speaker, and he is a very successful entrepreneur, and he has written a book that is number 8 in the world popular historical books at the moment. So the book is doing extremely well, very popular, and he will be here within an hour or so to talk to you about his success and his success story. Saying all that, what I'm going to do now is, before I forget, Kasturi's daughter is also volunteering with SACEM. So thank you, Kasturi, for bringing your own daughter here too. All right. And of course, a big round of applause for all the volunteers who have made this event successful. Thank you so much, all the volunteers and everyone. Good. With that, I'm going to let all the panelists, speakers proceed with your workshop. All the specialists are there in different tables. They will be moving to individual tables. Whoever who wants to choose your topics, please proceed and listen in, talk to them. But Joan will be leading the resume writing, interview facing, and all those important part here. Please take advantage of it at the max. Once again, a very warm welcome from SACEM. Thank you so much.
So I've been speaking for a good 10, 15 years now. When I first started, when I
if you think about any other moment, we've done other things that have been incredibly powerful. You know, a lot of times we have things called ants. So ants are automatic negative thoughts. And what ends up happening with automatic negative thoughts is they creep in when there's moments of doubt. And when we're going through the interview process, there's doubt. There's fears that show up, right? We're worried about whether or not they're going to like us, whether or not we're going to succeed, whether or not we have the right information. We're going to cover it. We're going to make sure that's all we're doing. So take one deep breath in. Breathe out. Okay, good. You can sit down. Okay, good. So how do you guys feel now? Energy level, 7, 8? Yes. A little bit better? So that's a simple exercise you can do at any time. Before you go into interviews, maybe you're going and asking somebody out on a date, you want to hold power pose before you do that. There's a bunch of different ways you can use this activity to elevate your confidence. And we always want to be at a peak, they call it a peak state. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with Tony Robbins. Heard of Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins is all about a peak state. Have you ever seen him? He gets into the
But what people don't realize, the stress and anxiety that comes with that push that we get from they won't feel it because they're generations behind. I have the fortunate opportunity to be in the middle of it. I'm right in the middle of it. You guys are my parents, so that I put a lot of effort on money. And I've seen a lot of young families.
He's the head of people and culture for all of Ontario. So he has 10,000 employees in his purview. And in that case, what we'll do is we'll load up all of their email addresses into our database and backend them into our system. We'll have them authenticate on Microsoft Single Sign-On. They'll authenticate, make sure security measures are in place, all of that. Once they're in the platform, they'll fill out a quick profile. There's 2 key elements in the profile that are important. We identify for job function, right? So whether you're marketing or HR or IT or what have you, right? Whatever the situation is, function, and then there's all those reasons why.
I know you honestly, this is
I've actually logged into my blog and my resume. And then so my interviewers, like before they interviewed me, they just literally read through my blog and they're like, oh wow, like he seems like he's really into numbers and just telling stories about numbers. And literally that's what I did at Microsoft for my co-op job, which was like being able to look at what the data was telling us, help them forecast their business out. And so they thought like they made a correlation themselves without even me like talking about it. I just put it in for fun. They made the correlation that I'd be able to look at numbers and tell a good story. So why I say that is like, don't be afraid to put your extracurriculars, your hobbies, the stuff that you think you're doing on the side that may not be resume worthy. Like, don't be afraid to put it in because I think it's a very good conversation starter. It builds up rapport. Like we might just mention the networking piece. It's all about like, I think more of it is who do you know, and part of it's like, do they like you, right? Like, do they think they can work with you? And so those are the kind of things that you want to come across, and it's not just about that.
finding this balance has always been a challenge for me. And again, like at our workplace, we are trying to go further in your career. A different kind of challenges comes into place, like how to find the right contact to move and how to obviously have a negotiation with them, how to speak to them, what I should present, what I shouldn't present, like where should I my focus on, like so those kind of questions still comes in mind, although that I'm already unlike them that I'm already doing a job, but for me more of a career progress, like what's next, what to find, and which will give me a good balance, right? I don't want to take more responsibility and suffer somewhere at my family level or like cannot do it at the same time. I shouldn't feel like I'm
So it's interesting, I'm glad Anita spoke up because Anita is your mom's, right? Your mom, right? So what's interesting is that you guys are talking about, I think Ashwin, you spoke about how at grade, you're what, 20 now? 21? You haven't figured out your life yet.
Yeah, but you guys did great.
Yeah, we prepared very like a lot.
And you have a great story.
Yeah, that also helped as well. There's 1 hour on the set, them just drilling us some questions non-stop. And then they cut it down to like 5 minutes. We were just negotiating the show like with the judges. And, yeah, I definitely do it again. And even for the same business, like they take you back for updates and all that. It got us our first customer.
So you think the best thing to do is just to get on for exposure
That's
and then
the only
decline?
thing. Yeah.
They're awesome. I'd be like, no thanks.
You can take it on the show, but if you make it interesting, they're more likely to push it to the but you can also decline after the show as well. So it's not.
So you're not obligated.
There's no paperwork. There's nothing like that. It's just you go on the show, you pitch it. Their motivation is entertainment, right? They want to make sure that there's a story behind it and all that. So yeah, that's
you
what
get the marketing.
Exactly, free marketing, credibility, especially in the industry we were in. That was the biggest challenge we were facing, right? Like messaging dentists that were already experienced. They don't want to listen to kids that are not even dentists, right? So we're trying to get into an industry that we belong in.
But there's charitable organizations that ease people with those skills. So like volunteering your time to help them with specific projects, and that is resume worthy. Like yeah, you may not get paid, but it's really good life experience and work experience that you can add to your resume that you can build from. Like,
Even like SACEM is an example.
Yeah.
Just go ask them what they need. Do they want them to build a portal for them?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think take a look at the SACEM site, right? Like I'm sure there's ways you can improve the site and bring some.
And that also shows your initiative. Like you're taking initiative and doing it on your own. You're not being asked to do things. You can do it on your own. Right? So that is another project that they look for. Okay. So I'm going to go around.
Thank you for answering my questions. Yes. I'll let everyone else answer.
So, let me ask the question, why are you here today? Sorry? You want to find a better job. Okay, she wants to find a better job. What about you?
I want to find a job which matches like what I do.
Your experience? Yeah, well, for sure. And I see that with a lot of newcomers. It breaks my heart when a newcomer comes to Canada and they're doing survival jobs. It does. It breaks my heart. Because you have all this skill, all this experience. The only thing is you're not speaking to the Canadian market in a way that they understand. So there's language, there's words, there's things that are within you. You know what I'm talking about, right? So it's almost like you have to interpret what you're saying on your resume to make sure it speaks the language of the person listening, right? And that's what happens with a lot of newcomers. And actually, this is an area I've been focused on for the last 5 years, is working with a lot of newcomers and doing that translation. Simple things like even, the way you address management, right? You never call your manager a sir or a boss, or you don't do those things in the Canadian market. So as your leader, my manager, my higher ups, that's how you use that type of language, and that's what distinguishes you from other people who don't understand the market. So when people say you don't have Canadian experience, anybody ever heard that? You don't have enough Canadian experience for this job? What that means is you don't understand the language. And every company has a different language. That's normal. You want to make sure you speak the language. Like it's like going to another country, right? You go to Italy, you don't want to speak Chinese, right? You want to speak Italian. So people understand. Anybody else? So you're here because you're trying to get into the market, you're looking for a transition. Anybody else? Why are you here? What brought you to here Sunday morning?
Just to improve my resume writing skills.
All right. Improve resume writing skills. Okay. Anybody else? This is interactive. The more you share with me, the more I can share back. Does that make sense? Okay. How to face the interview? Okay, good. You seem pretty good already. All right. Anybody else? Why are you here today? Why are you here today?
I guess to get callbacks.
Callbacks from hiring managers, okay, or recruiters. Okay, good. What about you guys? Why are you here today?
I kind of look for like summer jobs, so I'm trying to see what I can get.
Summer job?
Yeah,
Okay.
4 months, next month.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have kids too, so I don't know what my looks like. You know, to see you, I have 2 kids that are, I have 3. One just finished university, and my other 2 girls are in 3rd year, and they're always looking for something. So, luckily they've been really good. I'm not going to say it's because of my coaching, but they've been successful. And they get actually, one of the girls has 2 jobs, so it's perfect. It works out really well. Lots of opportunity out there, so don't give up. You're going to find something. Okay? Anybody else? Why are you here? Why are you here? Okay, something that matches your skills, yeah? What about yourself? To get lots of interviews. To get lots of interviews? I think you only need 1 interview to get the job. Well, and so this is the misconception that people have, right? So it's like I need to put out a lot of resumes up there to get the job, right? So it's not a numbers thing. It's not a numbers game. It's really around being intentional around what you're looking for, right? Because the truth is, when I'm working and coaching my clients, I have them apply to 2 jobs a day. That's it. Right? And the reason I do that is because you're putting in the time and the research to understand the role. So you can craft your resume to the role. Because every resume should be slightly different for every position you're applying to. Because if you're applying to 100 jobs and you're not tweaking your resume, it's a very good chance that's why you're not getting responses. Right? Okay? So, sorry? How to be prepared for the interview? We'll definitely cover that. You guys want interview prep as well? Is that okay? All right, so what I hear from a lot of people, they're not getting responses, number 1. Number 2 is they want the right career because they're applying to roles that don't necessarily match your skills experience. And number 3, they want their dream life. They want their dream job that really supports them in how they get to live, especially here in Canada. So for those of you that are new, it's different here, right? And how you put yourself out there is very different. So people from Southeast Asia, India, Sri Lanka, countries around the world, what I've noticed is the style of the resume is very different. Right? In those type of places in the world, education is very important.
Ask everyone to come back to seats, please. All right, so this is what's going to happen. John is going to continue with one-on-one. One-on-one doesn't mean that just one person only. Maybe 2 or 3 people can join. He will have an individual coaching. That's what I meant by one-on-one. So he will continue with that. We'll set him up somewhere there. And eventually he will also get a chance to talk to the group. So we still have time. But in the meantime, what we are going to do is we are going to introduce 2 or 3 special guests who are in attendance here, who would be very beneficial for you all. I'm going to call each one to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes, including all the speakers who are already here. They can take a maximum of 5 minutes. The first one to go is Mr. Gohul Sanmugalingam. He is with Microsoft, driving business outcomes through analytics. That's what he does at Microsoft. And he also attended some seminars like this by volunteer organizations, and that's where he found about this job, and that's how he got hired as well. So he's going to share his experience and how you can work in the career path, how you can be successful in that path. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome Gohul Sanmuhalingam.
Good morning. So first thing I'd say is just like it was mentioned, I hadn't done many of these when I was a student, but back in like grade 11, grade 12, I started attending sessions like this just to understand what the Tamil community leaders looked like, what they were doing, get a better feel for what I wanted to do with my life. Like when you're in grade 11, grade 12, like I just cared about playing basketball. Back then, I think I still mainly care about playing basketball most days too, but it was very eye-opening at that time to see, I'd say, what was it, maybe 2008, so 15 years ago, to see folks like Kasturi Rohan back then coming up and talking about their experiences, what they had had as a background in terms of school. So that put me on this path to focus on accounting. The reason I did that is the person that came to the event, and I was telling Kasturi this, that I met a guy at the event, he was a CPA, came up in like this really nice Mercedes, and I was like, oh, like I need to do what this guy does for a living. And so that kind of put me on this path to want to think about how I get into accounting, how I get into finance. And I did that at school at the University of Toronto, Scarborough. But once I got into accounting and finance and did my first co-op term, I really didn't like it at all, right? It was an opening for me, and it allowed for me to get this really great job at Microsoft on the finance side. But as soon as I started, I realized this wasn't for me. But what I really did like was I liked working with people. I liked telling stories with data. And what that allowed for me was inside of Microsoft, I started focusing on job opportunities that I really wanted to do. So I've now done a number of different jobs at Microsoft. They've always been client-facing, and my job is to really land and empower kind of our clients with Microsoft technology, right? So think about that. My job now, and I work alongside Kasturi on this at Microsoft, working to support BMO, is I'm helping the banks to use things like ChatGPT, right? So think about how many problems you can solve as an organization with AI and ML. And so kind of taking a step back from what I do, some of the things that came up today, especially on like interview prep and career guidance, like the two things that if I can leave with this group is like, don't network for the sole purpose of networking. That doesn't work. Like that's been my experience. Like I think in my first couple years, I just wanted to meet people and just meet them for the sake of meeting them. I think what you really want to do is find things that you have in common, find things that you want to learn about that person as an individual. If they're good people, right, you'll want to spend more time with them, and they'll want to spend time with you if you're a good person back. And so think about how do you build relationships more than just about, hey, how's this person going to get me a job? So that's big. And then think about stuff even at work, that even these coffee chats, like think about how do you get involved in things like sports communities or other clubs inside of work so that you're bonding with people in a way that's not just work related. Because a lot of people don't like to think about work when they're at home. So that's my big thing, right? Is try to bond and build relationships with individuals beyond just work opportunities. The second thing I'd say, and I realize this might just be like a very Microsoft-centric thing, but here's like a cheat code in my case for how you want to approach interviews. May not always work, but this is my take. First off is go into an interview, like look online. There's so much content online about the type of questions you might face, the way the interview cycle goes. It may not always line up that way, but do your research, right? And you're in this age of ChatGPT and technologies like that. Like, let ChatGPT edit your resume. Let ChatGPT help you write a cover letter, right? Like, don't be afraid. You might think of it as like a little bit of a cheat, but use the technologies that are available to help guide you. The next thing I'd say that has been really helpful is when it comes to interviews, the way I like to have done interviews, and I think I've done a number of different roles, so this has worked for me. It's worked for a few other people I've coached in the past as well, is build slide deck that you can send over to your interviewer the day before or a couple days before or during the interview that you hand to them. The slide deck should have a few things. One is like one slide on just who you are, right? Some icons, some pictures of who you are as a person. Next is, what are your strengths and values that you bring to the table? What are you really good at? And then the third one is, how do you plan to do this job? So those three things you answer in a slide deck, and think about it this way. These are the things that are going to come up in an interview. You're going to get asked, who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Why do you want this job? What are your strengths? And sometimes you forget in the moment of an interview, but if you have a slide deck that answers all of this, just refer back to it and say, hey, listen, I brought this slide deck. I talked about this on slide 2. Let's go a little bit deeper. And on the flip side, as an interviewer, they're going to be so impressed that you put in this effort to put this collateral together, and it comes off looking really organized. So it's a win-win on both sides. So those are my big things in terms of how you can approach interviews and try to be successful in those, and then how do you network as well. So I hope that's helpful. And if you want to reach out to me, Kasuri, I'm sure you can share my information, but my name is Gohul Shanmugalingam. I'm the only Gohul that I think works at Microsoft as well, so shouldn't be hard to find.
That's wonderful. The only Gohul at Microsoft. How nice it is. Thank you so much, Gohul Shanmugalingam. And before I go to the next speaker, I also want to introduce the other booth that we have at the back. It is from TESOC, Multicultural Settlement and Community Services. We used to know this as the Tamil Changam, sorry, and it is now called TESOC. TESOC Multicultural Settlement and Community Services is a non-profit organization supporting the community since 1978 in co-immigration and settlement services for eligible newcomers, including permanent residents, conventional refugees, protected persons and all, in 13 plus languages. Tamil, English, French, Arabic, Azerbaijani, Dari, Hindi, Farsi, Pashto, Russian, Sinhala, Turkey, and Urdu. Our core programs also include language instructions for newcomers to Canada and child-minding for LINK students. So please feel free to visit that booth as well. They have more information, make use of it. Also, we have the NACPT Pharma College. The booth is there with a lot of information, so make use of it as well. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to call upon Tiagi Delanorol. She is the CEO of OOT, OOT. She's an entrepreneur, and she's in Human Connectivity Platform. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome Tiagi Delanorol.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Good? Okay. Awesome. So my name is Tiagi. It rhymes with Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid. I'm the CEO and co-founder of OOT. OOT is the human connectivity platform where we allow for personal and professional connections to happen spontaneously in real life. And I want to mention this because I was actually talking to a lovely lady over there, young lady, and she was mentioning she was having some conversations with other folks around folks, looking to connect more, right? I'm actually going to center my conversation a little bit around social capital. Who knows what social capital is and why it's important? Gohul mentioned it briefly. Any show of hands? Well, you guys need to know this term because social capital means who you know in life, right? Right now, you guys are networking here, right? And you're ultimately networking amongst yourself. But as you enter into the workforce or even work towards getting internships, it's really important for you to connect with folks in a more meaningful manner. But I think the reason why Katsuri wanted me to come here today and speak was more around entrepreneurship and getting into entrepreneurship. Who's interested in entrepreneurship? Is it even on your purview? Is anyone, or do you guys want to do like a regular job and work your way up to VP level, SVP, CEO? Show of hands. Does anyone want to do entrepreneurship? A few gentlemen? Okay, can I ask you, what's inspiring you to do entrepreneurship? What do you think is going to be the good outcome? What about you? Yeah. Well, I will tell you this, both of you, awesome answers. I will say this, you kind of have to do like, have you ever heard of the term load management? You guys know Kawhi, right? So load management is all about conserving your energy in certain elements, but then going hard at it at certain point. So when you take load management into consideration with respect to entrepreneurship, you need to front load your effort at first, and you have to put a lot of work in. So even though you have the ability to have larger amounts of time later, you actually need to do a lot of heavy lifting in the beginning. But part of, and I mentioned this to Katsuri as well, when you're thinking about entrepreneurship, does anyone want to do a tech startup? Does anyone want to be like hundreds of millions of dollars type startup? Or would you like to just have like a small business and be an entrepreneur? Okay, hundreds of millions, you're aiming high, all right. What's your name? Tharusan, okay, good job, Tharusan. So, if you want to aim high in life, right, here's the one piece of advice that I can give you, which I wished I got when I was in my 20s. Because I came into entrepreneurship over time, I came to the conclusion that I was built for entrepreneurship. But having said that, I only started to discover my will for entrepreneurship at 35. I wish I knew some of the stuff I know now back when I was in my 20s. So I'm going to give you guys this amazing piece of advice. You guys are going to look around, you're going to talk to all sorts of people. You're going to be in school, you're going to be all around different situations. Keep your eye out for problems. Look, and when your parents are talking to you, when your aunts and uncles are talking to you, listen to them and try and understand if there's any particular problems that they're facing. And also understand, because I was talking to this other gentleman over here earlier, one of the key things that you need to understand is, number one, the problem, and have a relatively good understanding of what the problem is. But the number two thing is, how severe is this problem, and how often does it happen? Like, what's the recurrence pattern of the problem? Once you have an idea of problem, recurrence, and how many people it's going to impact, boom, you got hundreds of millions of dollars potentially, right, of revenue that could be coming in if you figure out a way to solve that problem. But those three key elements are absolutely critical, okay? And that's the thought process that I go through on a daily basis in terms of trying to like understand how to tackle different problems. Almost look at it like backwards in, right? And take a bit of an engineering approach to problem solving, right? So, who wants to know about how to get some money to start a company? Does anyone want to know? Who wants to know? Who wants to know? All right. Well, we all are situated in the lovely Canada, right? We live in Canada. Do you guys know how much support the Canadian government is giving minorities, women, and entrepreneurs in the country? Do you guys have any idea? I'm going to give you guys a website. Actually, I can't give it to you right now because I got to look it up quickly, but there's a government website called, I think it's called businessinsider.com or businessinsidergov.com. I'll give it to you afterwards. But ultimately, it's a website that actually my friend at Deloitte told me about. I didn't even know about this till 6 months ago. And this website is a site that pulls together every single type of grant that's available to all sorts of different businesses. So grants are a fantastic way of getting the initial insertion of capital that you require in order to build a business. Because you kind of need money in order to make money, a lot of times, right? So, have you guys ever heard of a grant program called Futurepreneur? Nope, okay. So, there's between $25,000 and $50,000 in grant funding that's available right from that program. And that's a phenomenal access to capital that could help you start to build out your idea. The Canadian government is extremely bullish on young people. So if you guys are between the age of 18 and 39, you have access to Futurepreneur, right? Which is a fantastic program. But let's talk about, I think, let me actually take some questions from the floor here. What, aside from starting with the problem and gaining access to capital, what would you guys want to know about in general? Like, how to get customers? That could be also a really important thing. Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, so the question is, how do you tackle the fear of doing entrepreneurship? Okay, I'll tell you guys. The best way to tackle any fear, has anyone ever told you guys when it comes to taking risk on your financial portfolio? Does anyone have stocks? Stocks, a little bit of stocks, a little bit. Okay, the number one piece of advice that anyone would typically give you when it comes to stocks is to diversify your portfolio. So same thing when it comes to doing entrepreneurship. You need to diversify your streams of your current incomes. So if you take a little bit of time in your 20s or in whatever age you are, right? And you try to multiply different types of streams of income, whether it's doing a little bit of, maybe you go into partnership with some of your friends and you try to buy a property, and then you get some rental income from that. And then maybe you try selling some other things online or do affiliate marketing or something like that. And then you get multiple streams of income. What that ultimately allows you to do is it allows you to take more risk in your life without foregoing your mental health, without being stressed out, all of that. So I got the time's up. I hope you guys found this really helpful and informative. And I'm right over there. If you have any questions, I'll be around for a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tyagi. It's a very inspirational message here. All right, I hope you are all benefiting out of all the messages that are coming up. And also there is this one-on-one still going on. One-on-one means not just one, 2 or 3 people if you want to benefit from resume writing or how to face interviews or whatnot. Please make use of it. And ladies and gentlemen, as you would have noticed, we have the special guest in presence in the hall. We have Mr. Roy Radnawel right here. Thank you so much for your presence. Our special guest today needs no introduction, as you all know him. SACEM is very pleased to welcome Roy Radnawel to our event. Roy is an Executive Vice President at CI Financial and the Head of Distribution for CI Global Asset Management. As many of you know, he is the author of Prisoner Number 1056 and is now listed on the Canadian National Bestsellers list. His story is one of resilience and hope. His book is an incredible immigrant story from a prominent Canadian Tamil who fled torture and imprisonment, arrived in Canada with $50 in his pocket, then rose from the mailroom to the executive suite of the country's largest independent asset management company. Roy not only survived the war, he found peace. His story is an inspiration to many people. A lot of people have been talking about it online, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or wherever he is. A lot of people are talking about it. The prisoner number 1056 is the current main topic among the Tamil community and of course in the mainstream community as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Roy Radnawel.
Wow, that sounded so good. I'd like to meet this guy. Thank you for the opportunity today. I'm honored to be here to have a conversation with you. I have, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes? 15, okay. It's, I don't know what's happening with the weather. It's been dull and raining, and I'll try to give you a cheery message, hopefully, to counter that. I don't even know where to start, to be honest, but I will try to have a conversation and hopefully make sense of my thoughts. First off, if you haven't read the book, you know I'm a salesman, so I'm always going to sell. I did give 3 copies to the organizers here, so the lucky 3 would get a free copy. I definitely would recommend that you pick up a copy and read it. I wrote it for you. I think the reason I wrote the book is for actually 3 reasons. 1, to tell the world the story of a tortured teenager and many teenagers like me at one point. And then 2 is to really give a voice to the next generation of people like yourself so that you understand what transpired in Sri Lanka, to give a voice to you. And then 3, probably one of the most important things, is to really give homage to Canada for building a society that respects freedom and choice. And I think we should never, ever forget personal freedoms and democratic rights are very important. And we live in a world now, sometimes those things are not treated like precious commodity. And if you let that deteriorate, you end up getting Sri Lanka. So don't ever let anyone take your personal freedoms and democratic rights away. I don't care which side of the political angle it comes from. So keep that in mind. So with that, let me give you maybe a sense of my journey from mailroom to executive room and the things that I have deployed in my journey to get to where I am today. But I will do it with a caveat. Just because it worked for me, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. But even if you take 1 or 2 out of it, then you will have a chance of having some success in other fields. And the other thing I will also say is that don't ever let somebody tell you that whatever you put your mind to it, you can achieve, which is not true. I can't be a basketball player. I'm 5'8", and I don't jump. So right there, that whole idea of if you put your mind to something, you'll be successful, it's a ludicrous notion. But you can do something. Every single one of us are born with certain talent. So specialize on the talent that you have. This is innate to you. Nobody can know that. And so for me, when I started at the age of 19 in the mailroom, I just wanted to get a job so I can get some food in my belly and perhaps have a couple of beers in the weekend. But then I realized there was something called asset management business, and I had some amazing mentors along the way. Then I decided then I should probably pursue that as a career. But one thing you have to always do is that do things to perfection. So you think about the world that we live in, it's highly competitive. Everybody wants to have success. Everyone's chasing success. And if you had a job opening in a special field, maybe 50 people applying for it, why you? So one of the most important things to do in life is to differentiate yourself. Because if you generalize, that's just common denominator thinking. You need to stand out in the crowd. You need to be someone who will be noticed. So my job was, when I became a asset management VP for sales when I was 29 years old, I needed to figure out how was going to differentiate myself, because the reality is 9 out of 10 human interactions are not memorable, not at all. So if I'm going to go to an investor to make a pitch for the products that I am pushing on behalf of my firm, and why me? I'm in a suit just like anyone else. I'm saying the same things about the markets, pretty much. Why me? So everything you do in life, you must figure out a way to stand out, to differentiate yourself, which is very important Doesn't matter what business you're in. Second, you need to do more than what you're asked to do. And that is important. Work ethic matters. Hard work matters. There is dignity in hard work. Always do more than the person next to you. That's how you get differentiated. Now, I'm not suggesting just because you do that, some boss is going to let you go higher up in the ranks, because sometimes nepotism and favoritism does play in workplaces, but assuming there's fairness, then you will get noticed. And luckily for me, I had some great bosses that noticed my hard work, my passion for the business, and always doing something more than what I was asked to do. So I was in predominantly a white male industry when I started, and I was on Bay Street one time in 1988. I was doing a cleaning job. I was a cleaner of office buildings. During daytimes, I was working in a factory for 15 hours a day with a glue gun in hand. Then I would come back and I'd go clean buildings at night with a few people I know. Then on the weekends, I will be a security guard. I was 120 pounds and I didn't even know how to fight. And having me as a security guard is a pretty sad scene. But anyways, it paid me. And I did school at night. So I was a pretty busy kid. And as I was cleaning this building at, I don't know how many of you are familiar with downtown that often, but 44 King Street is the King and Bay corner, the Scotiabank building. I was cleaning this building and I was walking through these offices and I saw a nice corner office with a mini fridge and everything, wine fridge. I'm thinking, I should have this life one day. And I got to figure out a way to get a job in this financial services industry. They're all wearing nice suits and seem happy. So I came home one night, and Toronto Sun is the newspaper that all my roommates had. 8 of us lived in a small place. I was flicking through that, and I saw this ad that said, office job, office help needed, $14K. I didn't know what K meant, but I applied anyways. And luckily, I got a phone call back from a lady and said, you know, come for an interview, to which I went at Young and Sinclair. And so I didn't have a resume because I couldn't have a resume. And so during the interview, she realized that I'm incapable of working in an office, I guess, and she deemed me not worthy of the job. Now, I thought, to be honest, I was going to work in that place, but it's turned out to be a job agency. I didn't even know there's such a thing called job agencies. Keep in mind, I'm very new to the country and I had no coaching whatsoever. So then I realized, as I was leaving, the receptionist there was trying to give an address of this place that the person who they sent couldn't find the building, so she was having a difficult time trying to explain to him where this place is. And I could hear her repeating this address, 401 Bay Street, 12th floor. Yes, that's right, Universal Group, Simpson Tower. Yeah, that's where the job is. And I'm thinking, aha, that's where the job is. So I hopped on a train. I didn't even know how to go downtown. I asked one of those guys, and he said, take the train southbound, get off at Queen Station, go outside, and in front of the old clock tower, or the bell, which is the old city hall. So I went in. I went to the 12th floor. I demanded, I must have the job. And Juliet was the receptionist. She said, no, you have to come through the agency, but I wouldn't leave. So there was a nice manager who heard me making noise, and she wanted to avoid the scene, and she came in and she got me into her office, and I said, you must give me this job. I'll work for free, and if you don't think that I am the guy for the job, you fire me, but I need the job. And I told her about my story. I told her I'm going to bring my mom from Sri Lanka, and she was recently widowed. And guess what? She said, you seem like a kid that wants to work hard. I'll give you the job. Her name is Gail Wright, and still a good friend of mine. And since then, I just worked my buns off. And everything I did it better than the person next to me. So when I applied for the sales role at the time, the CEO said to me, "I don't see a salesman in you." I said, "What do you see me as?" He said, "You should be an analyst, and you should probably pursue the portfolio management side like Rohan here." Of course, he didn't know Rohan, but I was just pointing out to the fact that he is here. But I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to be in sales. And the more he told me that I couldn't do, the more I wanted to do it. So I got the job anyways. And I went to Vancouver. That was my first posting in 1998 at the age of 29. And there was a guy who was supposed to show me the ropes of the business. And he was supposed to be the head of the Western region. Within 4 years, I became his boss. Then I became the boss of the Western region. Then I became the head of asset management here for Canada and also the executive. And everyone who thought I couldn't succeed, I proved them wrong. And thank you. So what I'm trying to say here with that story is, don't ever let anyone tell you you can't. At the same time, don't let anyone tell you that you can do anything you want. Figure out what your core strengths are and follow the basic rules that applies in every field. Hard work wins. There's dignity in hard work. Differentiation matters. Always change. Don't be afraid of change. Be very afraid of not changing. To improve is to change. And learn from everyone and everything. Always, always keep learning about the industry more than think about the trends. Think about the new products that are coming, or think about ways to enhance whatever that you are doing better. Your role in this world is to, whatever you find, to leave it behind better than you have found it. In that, I'll close by saying, there are only two things human beings should be guaranteed. Only two things: freedom and choice. When you have that, your society will reward you for the good choices you make and may punish you or not reward you for the bad choices you make. That's the price of freedom. So just always remember that. Do not let anyone take your personal freedoms away. Appreciate this country for what it is. Enhance it, embrace it, and when you leave this planet or leave this country, leave it better than you have found it. Good luck to you all. Thank you.
Wow. What an inspirational story, what an inspirational speech. Thank you so much, Roy. Give me a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Roy Runwell. The most important part, what I heard here, is that don't let anyone tell you you cannot do something. But don't also let anyone tell you that you can do whatever you want. So that's the best advice we can get. So perfect. Thank you so much. And at this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow 2 to 3, 4 questions max. You can ask Roy. If you think you have a question, put your hand up. I will bring the mic. You can ask. Only up to 4 questions. Roy, sorry, Thiru. Yeah, go ahead. But let him ask the question.
Thanks, Roy. You're an inspiration to all of us. One question I want to ask is, what makes you wake up every day and drive hard?
Thank you. Because I always said that don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done. I'm not done. And what I mean by that is I wake up at 4:30 every morning, and I work out every morning, and then I go to work. And I wrote this book in 60 days. A lot of people don't write 97,000 words in 60 days. I do it. Someone told me that I couldn't write this book, nobody would buy it. And one of the publishers told me that this book is awful, it should never be published. So now it's the bestseller. And I sent him a nice note and said, hope you like this version better. And so to answer your question, it's what else am I supposed to do? I want to really give back to especially young people in our community, but all young people. I wish I had the type of mentoring that you are getting when I was 18, 19, so I'm kind of jealous right now. But yeah, that's what it is. I have this, I always say I don't have off switch, unfortunately.
Yeah, anyone else has a question for Roy? Oh, there's one.
Thank you, Roy, for coming and making this, inspiring all these youth in here. Apart from the book, your talk here is very inspiring to the youth. Do you, from here on, what's your next step? Can we, are you planning, do you have what it takes to inspire our youth for our future of Tamils here? So, do you have any plans to do that? And that would be a wonderful thing if you can do.
So, yeah, I want to do a lot of stuff, but I also promised my wife I'm going to take a year off and travel. And I've been working since I was 18 years old with nonstop. And my hope is to, my son is off to university in September. My hope is to sell everything I have and don't shave for a year, grow my hair out, don't wear shorts, don't wear suits, but shorts and flip-flop and travel the world and see things. But when I come back, I want to do, certainly my hope is to, this book will get me as public speaker for events and so on and so forth, and I'll do it for free if it's Tamil community. But if it's outside of that, I want to get paid. And yeah, that's the hope. And I've been reached out by political parties to run. I don't think I need that. But definitely, I do want to be part of policy think tanks. I am part of one called the Aristotle Foundation now. I think you can really make change by being part of organizations like that than being a politician. Being a politician is too much headache, but that's what I plan to do.
Okay, I will go with one more. Oh, go ahead.
Hi, Rodnavel. Here, like you see, a lot of youngsters are here today, and I think that one of the points that you brought up, the challenge that when you have from the South Asian parenting, where parents set a very high standard, and there are our next generation where they wanted to live the way they wanted, and they have inspiring stories and things that they wanted to do on their own, rather get the guidance of the parents and sticking, hey, everybody has to become a doctor, everybody has to become an engineer. You talk about your dad too, and you said that he's also had like some plans for you, but like when I think that our generation the next generation having some challenges as to how to manage that they wanted to outperform, but they wanted to still listen to their parents. How do you think that our next generation should handle that challenge?
Okay, that's a big question. I don't think I can do justice to that in a few minutes, but I'll try. I think the important thing is, look, you need to have someone you look up to, really. I mean, it could be your parents, it could be someone that you admire in the industry, in the community, whatever, because everybody needs a mentor. And luckily, my father was mine, and he died too young, but his lessons it's always in my head. So the things that he used to say to me are that, son, there are two types of problems in the world, yours and everybody else's. You have to fix your own. So the minute you start thinking you're the victim, because somebody's got to help you, you'll never progress in life. You have to really own your own blind spots and take responsibility for your own actions and carry on. And look, the amount of mistakes I have made is, they're numerous, and I do discuss this in the book. It's actually a very honest book. My wife told me not to write a lot of stuff, and because it really talks about the flaws that I have had and potentially still have. And because every single one of us is flawed in some way, and that is just the human nature, so you can't change that. But the important thing is to really, as I said, evolve and change. That's, I would say, is something that you need to keep hammering that into your head, because in my early 30s, I was a terrible person. I was, you could read it through it, you'll see. I just was thinking like a victim, because all these things happened to me, the world did it to me, so I'm going to punish the world. You can't transfer your trauma to others, especially the ones who have not done it to you. So basically, people do transfer their trauma to the loved ones around them or the friends. So the minute you start looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing the flaws that you see, and you should really try to fix them all if possible, but at least most of them. No one can help you other than yourself. It is really in your hand to do that. And how many heartbeats do you have got left? No one knows. So take every heartbeat as a very big deal and go for it. I always say, what's in the way is the way. You got to get through that, whatever the difficulty you have. And mistakes are going to happen. In early 2000, I was doing fairly well financially, early 30s, and I was very arrogant about the market, and I thought I knew better. The one thing you know for sure in the market is the market will surprise or fool as many as people possible. And market is smarter than an individual. And I became bankrupt very quickly in the early 30s, and I was kind of washed out. And I heard someone say about diversification. It is true. They're saying in our business, bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. And I was greedy as a pig. And so what you need to do is, I always say, to become rich, you have to specialize. Or become wealthy, you have to specialize. To stay wealthy, you need to diversify. So that's one. And then two is that, going back to the same thing again, just take personal ownership of yourself. Because you can control the outcome, but you are 100% in charge of the input. So just be in charge of that input.
Thank you very much, Roy, and I think I will wrap it up with one question I have. Yes, no, the last one. It's about the reading and writing habits. The digital world has taken over, and the youth, even everyone, the reading habits are completely gone, and the writing habits are gone to this LOL and IMO and the digital chat world. How should this be changed, first of all, and if so, what can parents do, or what can the guidance people can do?
I got to tell a story about LOL. I never typed LOL in my entire life. So I'm going to go to grave with that. But I actually thought, LOL was lots of love. And so one of my friends sent me a note saying grandma died. I thought, LOL. I replied back, LOL. And then somebody told me I was laughing out loud. So that's my story. I'd say, I don't know, I always enjoyed writing because I found it therapeutic to put my thoughts to page and, say something that hopefully might inspire someone. Reading has become an issue, especially the younger generation now, all TikToked. And so I think that, and maybe I'll say this, my father never left Sri Lanka, but he traveled all over the world just through books. And when you read books, you really will open up your mind. And I think that if you don't have the habit, at least I would encourage you to do that. And don't read stuff in your industry, read outside of it, because I don't think that does any help to you. For me, I'm not going to read another market analyst telling me about what the market is going to do. It's not because I think I know better than them, it's just the same BS. Just read something outside of your, maybe you're some famous chef. Read about that. I mean, one of my inspiration for this book was Anthony Bourdain. He was an amazing chef, great writer. He can string words in a way that I've never met anyone doing it, because he's bold and he's candid. And that's the thing too, like, speak your mind, I think Confucius said we have 2 lives. When you realize the first one is going to end, then the second one begins. And so I don't know how to answer this question, but really pick up a book, or read. It's very important, and it'll open up your mind. It'll open up a lot of potential for you. And I haven't read a book in 2 years, but because I was writing one, but I plan to start reading again. I'll definitely start with books that are not, really, the key in life is to really listen to people who have a different point of view than yours. Because if you're all going to be listening to each other and be in the same echo chamber, nobody wins. That's the very lowest common denominator behavior. You have to really be differentiating yourself. And look at the history of people who have invented things, found things. They always thought against the crowd. And even our business, going with the crowd will get you killed in the market. And you have to always be contrarian. So I don't know if I answered the question, but that's all the best I have.
All right, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Roy Rednowell. Yeah. So on behalf of SACEM, Roy, thank you very much for your participation and a wonderful speech, very inspirational speech. Thank you so much once again. All right, before we wrap up means there will be networking, you can go back to the table and talk to your mentors as well. So session is going to continue. But before that, I'm going to call one person who has become a witness in a way, who participated in one of the former SACEM seminars and benefited out of it and found a job because of attending a SACEM seminar. His name is Sudhakar Balakrishnan. He is here. He's a data scientist in natural language processing and machine language. He is with Digital Loblaws. Sudhakar Balakrishnan, come up.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank SACEM for organizing this wonderful event. And it was inspirational to hear Mr. Roy Ratnavale's speech as well. And a little bit about myself. I'm Sudhandar. I'm currently working as a data scientist at Loblaws. A little bit backstory about myself is that I finished my master's degree at Queen's University in September 2022. And I was struggling to find a job. And I was networking a lot, and that's how I got introduced to Kasturi. And so she was organizing this SACEM's event in November. And I attended that event, and I would like to thank Kasturi for organizing that wonderful event. And she introduced me to a lot of wonderful people, which eventually led to my job at Loblaws. And she was also helping me with the opportunity at BMO as well. So yeah, and I personally appreciate the SACEM community, where most of the speakers are very successful in their respective fields. So, and more importantly, they are ready to mentor youngsters and help them out as well. So yeah, I would like to thank SACEM and Kasturi for this opportunity. So that's about it, and thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sudhakar. And once again, on behalf of SACEM, I would like to thank all the mentors who are present here. And of course, the special speaker, Roy Ratnavale as well. The 2 booths we have at the back from the Pharma College and also from TESOC, as well as the sponsors, Pharma College as well as the Rouge Valley Education Center. We continue to empower the community, and we run a variety of seminars. If you want to join SACEM as a volunteer, you are most welcome. We also look for people who might be interested in joining the board. There will be interviews, and when an opening comes up, we will put you on the board. Otherwise, you can join a subcommittee and eventually step up when an opportunity comes up. So you're always welcome to stay with SACEM, and whenever we have other programs, we will let you know. And at this time, with that, I'm going to let the mentors continue with their sessions. If anybody wants to have a chat with them individually or to the table and listen to them, please continue to do so. There is water and some cookies there at the back. Please serve yourself. John is going to be here as well. If you want to make use of his mentoring, please make use of it as well. Once again, thank you very much from SACEM.